What's good? What's good? It's your boy B Neil. Welcome back to Bryce Reacts. We're here with another one, man. Jay-Z fans are in their feelings. They are at odds. They are feeling some type of way. A lot of narratives, a lot of things coming out since post, the Roots picnic. And like I said, a lot of people are bringing up old points and narratives to really question the dominance behind a lot of the conversations that, quote unquote, Mr. Untouchable, as far as his career legacy and pole position, like no one's been able to fuck with him. And a lot of people are just, it gets to a certain point where it's not that we don't understand why you could put a guy number one, but when you start to put him in this like place where it's almost impossible to pass him, and we're not seeing a Michael Jackson level of impact, or we're not seeing such a dominant, like as dominant run as people are trying to make it out to seem. It's like, all right, we start trying to question and really be like, so what was the reason why he's so much better than the field where no one could touch him if he was touchable even in his run? And in his time around when he was dropping and his peers was competing with him and actually overachieving him as far as at least with the sales first weeks and stuff like that, as far as impact and things like that. It wasn't like he was just dominant. And when I think of a number one guy that can't be touched, that's what I think about. So with that being said, man, we're gonna hop right into it. Rory and Maul, and really Damaris, hey, they standing tall for Hov. I get it. His fans gonna support him, but I still think there's questions that need to be answered, and we're gonna get into it.
Listen, some things happen, man. Drake, as we know, he felt the way about a lot of things that happened in the last 2
That's
years.
definitely not the right video.
Jay,
All right, my bad. We're back.
We now talking rap with people who were born after 2000, and niggas is in the comments asking me stupid shit like, okay, well, what year did Jay run rap? And I lost my shit. Like, they accused me of being on cocaine. I literally lost my shit because
that's a big Twitter theory. And I'm not saying that there isn't some credence to that where maybe he wasn't the number one guy, but to have a 25, 30-year career of every year you're right there, to me, that's better than 1 year Nelly was the best. Like for 30 years, you're that relevant and the GOAT. Like,
and that's
why I think that shit is like, I hate that conversation.
Y'all are.
So, I mean, just to start off, first of all, I was born in 1994. So I understand the 2001 conversations where you don't really get to experience a lot of things and like the full impact of things. But obviously I wasn't in like high school. I wasn't like being able to my own freedom. So a lot of things like to the world, I was still naive to, not understanding. So music might not hit me the same. Understandable, especially if you was born in 2001. But being born in 1994, like I feel like we got to see and feel like the impact of rappers. Like I was 1999, 2000. I'm 6, 7 years old. I knew who Biggie was. I knew who Pac was. I knew California Love. Like I might see some ladies tonight. We've been having my baby. Like you knew these records, bro. Like from what it was, Hardball, or like just like the records. These songs were just like you couldn't help but not to know some of the OGs that was before you. And we loved those songs. When I had an MP3 player, when I had a CD player, I used to only listen to Pac. Like literally, Pac was like my number one rapper all the way up until I got to middle school. Then it became Wayne. But that's why the reason I bring it up is just because it's like with so many artists that when I was like 6, 7 years old, I was liking them. There was artists from that time where I liked them. I liked DMX, Stop, Drop, Shut Them Down, Open Up, Stop. Like it was like records where you stood out and like you liked. And then like Nelly and stuff like that. So for me, it's like I feel like we give an excuse for being young when, like, even as a young age, kids understand impact. Kids still will see Michael Jackson and start doing a moonwalk and like Billie Jean Thriller, like they be doing all that shit. So it's like as a kid, we understand impact. We understand like good music, even though because it's just rhythm at the simple sum of things, and kids understand like good music. That's something we can still understand. So I hate that conversation where it's like just because you're adolescents, you can't like understand music at all. I feel like that's just not a fair point for real. But let's look at it. He said another conversation was like when maybe you're not number one, but you can run things for 25, 30 years straight. So from 1996 to 06 would be 10 years. And then from 06 to 2017 would be 20 years. So 21 years. But at the same time, from 09 to 2017, it's he dropped like almost every 5 years, damn near. It's really every 4 years if we being frank. So it's like I'm not looking at that as like you really dominated for 20 years. Like if we being honest, you could boil that last 3 albums down to a 15-year career, let's just say around 15 year or 12 to 15 years. Let's just measure from that. From 96 to 2006, that's 10. You drop 2 albums in another 2 year span. So let's say that's 12 years. And then you drop another 2 albums in like every 4 years. So let's just say it's around 12 to 14 year, maybe 15 year, but we starting to get a little generous, when you start getting past 12, 13 years, because obviously it was such a gap in there. And even 444 is low-key like a retired album. So it's like, are we really? So that's just kind of how I'm judging that. So I get the 36-year run thing, but at a certain point, that's a little too loose with how long his run was. So now that we have those two kind of things boiled down about the age and how long his run is, let's actually look at how close each year was when he dropped these albums. So his first album was in 1996, right? He dropped Reasonable Doubt, and they didn't put his first weeks on this one, but let me look at the next one. Well, we can actually look at this one too. So you got Reasonable Doubt, All Eyes on Me, It's Written, Outkast, Tribe Called Quest. So I don't think we're not counting groups. I guess this is about individual success. Because you got the Fugees as well, Ghostface, Kid, Lil Kim, Busta Rhymes, UGK down there. So there was a lot of groups in 1997, but that was a great year for hip hop for sure. So then I actually was like, all right, what's on first week? Just to get a total, like a gauge of impact. Like obviously, just because we see first week, that doesn't mean this album was better than this album or this album was more impactful for that album. But if we just look at 1997, clearly All Eyes on Me was the best album. Then even It's Written is better than Reasonable Doubt. If we're just looking at this conversation. Now, if someone want to hit me in the comments and be like, I personally think Reasonable Doubt is better, I'm not going to argue with you. I just think the same thing, like I'm going to hear Nas fans say. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm pretty sure it's more debatable. And then we actually go to impact. I don't think it is as debatable. So, and I'm not going to like, I'm not going to get up here and act like I remember everything on It's Written. I probably remember Reasonable Doubt a little bit more just because that conversation is like Reasonable Doubt this, Reasonable Doubt that. It's like I had to go see what niggas was talking about multiple different times and just like double check. Like, am I tripping when I go back and talk about this album? So I've done that several times when we're talking about Jay-Z, because almost every time we talk about Jay-Z albums, I go back and fact check myself so I don't feel like I'm stupid. Like, I don't feel like I'm overreaching or anything like that. And I usually come back with the same takes. Like, I'm underwhelmed with the overall album, but that's my personal opinion. I guess I'm more of a melodic type of guy. But we get into, what year is this? 1997. You got Life After Death with Notorious B.I.G. Wu-Tang Forever. Wu-Tang claims don't count that. No Way Out with Puff Daddy. We won't count that. Are You Still Down? Tupac. I guess we counting that. Bone Thugs and Harmony. Mace. Master P. Scarface. Busta Rhymes and Jay-Z. So Nas got them 2 years in a row. Biggie and then Pac had them each individual year for each. Like, so it's like, yeah, you might be top 3, but even in this situation, you're kind of way down the list where Scarface and Busta Rhymes, and even the people that's in front of you, these ain't no scrubs. Like, these niggas that's all had runs. So it's not like when we say, oh, it's a one-off event like Nelly, it's like that happened 1 year. And even with Nelly, he had a nice run. So we can't be like, if Nelly beat you 1 year, it was like, oh, that was just a lucky year from Nelly. It's like, nah, that nigga was hot for a while. And he put everything together for 1 year, but he had the same conversation. Nelly was a top rapper for at least 5-6 years. Like, whether it was top 5, top 6, but he was hovering in that range. So I don't know. I don't think we want to just give Nelly like the title of, oh, he was a one-off rapper that had a year. Like, so it's just weird to me. Also, it said, so what is this? This is 08. This is 08. That's one thing I will say was impressive about Jay-Z, since we give him context. Nigga dropped 96, 97, 98, 99, then 2001, something like that. Like, so I can't be honest. I got to be honest with you. We talking about niggas like Kendrick. We talking about niggas that's out here that's lollygagging, dropping every 3 years, then take a 5-year hiatus after he give you 2 out. Like, nah, like, that wasn't Jay. So I will say that was impressive. And if you want to say that work ethic kind of reminds you of like a Future or something like that, I respect it. But it don't necessarily always correlate to impact. So it's like, it's a couple different conversations we can have here. But we get into this year, DMX, 670, Beastie Boys, I'm Not Counting, Snoop Dogg, 520, Master P, that's 2 years in a row where he outsold him. Lauryn Hill, obviously that's like GOAT material for especially the women conversation. Mystical, you got outsold by Mystical. No disrespect to Mystical, Jay-Z, and then like these are conversations I want to have too. If DMX and you are right next to each other on 1 year, and then like 2 or 3 other years DMX got you beat, just because you beat him 1 year don't mean you're a bigger rapper. You might be bigger than him, like as far as that, like the numbers you possibly sold, but I don't necessarily know that you're bigger than him or better than him that year. And I'm just saying, like, just because one album outsold him one other year than other albums where he did 1 million, you only did 500. Like that's like a LeBron James thing to me. It's like LeBron won 2 MVPs, 3 or Jordan conversation. LeBron won 2 or 3 MVPs, like where he was considered undoubtedly the best. And then 1 year where you had your Russell Westbrook year, I still had a really great year. That don't mean you're a better player than me. You just might have had a better year than me, but it's like so minuscule. I don't even know if we could just, so like, I don't want to nitpick and shit like that, but I'm just saying like, there's guys where it's like, they were consistently ahead of him. And then the one time you beat him, you barely scratched by beating him. And it's almost like, we got to give it to you because we tired of giving it to this guy because he probably still deserves being considered the best, like, at least when it comes to that 1 versus 1 comparison. And this is what I'm saying when you go to, I think this is 2001. Or no, we're looking at 1999 albums. Am I tripping? Dr. Dre in 1999 dropped 2001. I don't know. But here's another example. So 1999, DMX, 98, Dre, 2001, 516, B.I.G., Born Again, Nas, I Am. So that's 3 years where Nas outsold him. Why we don't talk about Nas like that? I mean, maybe you got to also go into the actual ultimate album and content, but Life of Saint Carter, like I think that's one of my favorite albums from Jay-Z, if I'm not mistaken. But even then, it's still a touchable album. So we can't sit up here and like Juvenile, G Code, Eminem, Slim Shady, and then Method Man. So it's like he's definitely getting outsold every year. And like I'm not trying to be unfair to him, but it's like to a certain point, like we gotta have conversations where it's like you wasn't that dominant, bro. You just wasn't. Eminem, Marshall Mathers, LP, 1.76. And then it's like, that's the thing too, is like, not only were you not dominant, I didn't see you just do 1 million, 950, like 850 on one album that was just, oh my God, that shit was he don't have that one album where you could just be like, bro, this shit statistically is just unfathomable. And then when you talk about catalog wise, like he don't have one album where it's like that one album is a Good Kid, that one album is a Carter 3, that one album is a Take Care. Like I don't like Reasonable Doubt is not that. The Blueprint is not none of that. Like this, like what's the other one people talk about? Black Album ain't close to Dark Twisted Fantasies, 808s, College Dropout. It's not like he don't have one of those. So it's like either way it comes to sales, he don't have one of those like, oh, he sold 1 million first week a couple different times, or he was doing crazy numbers, like, or he was doing like untouchable, like sonical catalogs, like I just like or songs or albums, excuse me. Like I don't have that standout for him. Versus like you'll look at Eminem did 1.76. You'll look at a DMX did 1 million. You'll look at Lil Wayne did 1 million. I ain't talking about having to sell shit to Sprint because I know niggas will love to bring that shit up. Like no, bro, nigga, you literally sold 1 million copies to Sprint before the shit even dropped. Like that shit don't count. Like at least in my book, that's bubble ring shit to me, and that's gonna start a whole nother engagement in the comments. But Eminem had you wiped down, which is in this conversation, you're number 2. Some of these other ones, you're number 3. But even in some of these, bro, you're not number 2 consistently. You're not number 3 every time. It didn't get to like after his 5th album where he was constantly kind of in that top 3, or 4th album, he was in that top 3. So it's like when we're really having these conversations, I think a lot of people throw some sauce on it. And then you go to the Great Depression with DMX, and so 2 out of 3 years, DMX has outsold him. This was a lot closer. The Blueprint, Ja Rule, Mystical again, which was up there, Ludacris, Outkast, Jadakiss, and Project Pat. And this was in 01. Then you go 2010. I mean, I said 2000. I'm on page 10. 2002, Eminem once again 1.3, Nellyville 7.4, Blueprint 2, 545. Ja Rule 237, Cameron 226, Scarface 140. So you was top 3 the last 3 projects he dropped. But Eminem got you wiped down. Eminem got you wiped down, bro. And I don't you could probably argue Eminem show and Marshall LP was also better projects as well. Not even just like, oh, he just has better commercial success. You could argue those projects are actually better as well. So yeah, I want to say the last 3 albums we've looked at. So at 99 was the last time he wasn't in top 3. So 2000 top 3, 2001 top 3, 2002 top 3. So that's 3 years out of. Let's go back and look, just so we could be thorough with this conversation. So yeah, he had already dropped 4 or 5 albums by the time we got to there. I'm just trying to make sure I'm on point. So 3 out of like I guess what was that? 5 out of the 5 out of, so 3 out of the 8 albums or 3 out of the 7 albums we just reacted to were actually top 3. The other ones wasn't. So shit like that is like we're gonna wrap this conversation up with like athletes and things that kind of like put it to more perspective. But like just because like you gotta, if you're gonna make that conversation like, oh, he was top 3 for 20 years, 30 years straight, I need to see that. And he didn't rap for 30 years, so that or 20 years, it was closer to 12 or 13. Then you backdoor. We 8 albums, 7 albums in. Only 3 of those 7 was top 3 albums. Obviously, first week, so it's a little rough estimate, but you're following what we're going with. Like, I think the people kind of overestimate that. So then you go to 2003. So now that's, let's say 4 out of 9. So 2003. Let's get this. Let me pause it real quick. All right. So I wanted to kind of start rough estimating what it was. So we're at his 8th album. 4 albums was top 3. The other 4 was bubbling around 6, 5, shit like that. So, I mean, I get the conversations we can have, but it's a difference between being top 3 in the MVP conversation and then being in the top 5. Like 4, 5, and 6. Like, all right, you was in the MVP conversation, but it's a huge difference between you was close to winning it and like, yeah, you were just in the conversation. Like top 3, you could be 2 and never wasn't even gonna touch. You weren't even gonna get close to the MVP if we really being honest that year. So like even being in top 3 don't necessarily mean like, oh yeah, you was really like a conversation for MVP. It's like you was there because it's like somebody had to be top 3, but nigga, you weren't even gonna win it that year. Like it wasn't even close. So like that's just the conversation. Like, so let's see. So we had 03, 50 Cent Get Rich or Die Trying, 872, Outkast 510, The Black Album 463, DMX. So out of 5 years, DMX, I saw him twice. Jay-Z, I saw him. Oh no, DMX, I saw him 3 times. Jay-Z, I saw him twice. Out of all the times him and Nas dropped the same year, Nas, I saw him every time. I'm just bringing up like some themes that I'm seeing that popped up since we're doing this research. Then we go to 12, page 12. Let's see, 2006. This is the first year he had the #1 sales first week, and you could argue it's one of his worst projects. So we're on 9 projects now. Now 5 of them he's been top 3, 4 of them he hasn't. So he's eclipsed being halfway there. But even with Kingdom Come, like you got the sales, but that was almost widely regarded as one of his worst projects he's dropped. So even then, it's like, yeah, you top 3, maybe due to cliche because you've been 8, 9 years in your career. So you should have some level of marketability and sales being the guy you are. And by this time, Jay-Z became way more witty with business and consumerism and stuff like that. He's probably becoming more of that mogul now as he's starting to transition towards the later end of his career. So when you talk about Release Therapy, King, and The Inspiration, those projects arguably probably was better. Or even the Doctor's Advocate down there with The Game, those projects was probably better than Kingdom Come. Like, no conversation about it. So even when you were top 3, I'm questioning, like, you were top 3 in impact, but I don't think that album stands up to test the time when you compare it to the other albums. So we can give him, I'm not going to give it to him. So at this point, he actually 5 albums that wasn't top 3 to me, even though this one sold top 3. I just didn't feel like that was the Kingdom Come, like people shit on that album versus 4 albums that was top 3 and actually deserved it. Like, now you can say that's unfair, but at the end of the day, it's pins and needles. If you switch it one way or the other, like, all right, bro, it's not really that big a difference as far as the conversation I'm having in my head. So now we go to 2007. We get into the last 3 projects. And he's back outside of the top 3. You got Kanye West, 1 million first week. Curtis, 700 first week. American Gangster, 425. But this wasn't in order. T.I. went 470. And then you also got Bone Thugs and Harmony, UGK, Soulja Boy Tell 'em at 107, which is hilarious. Oh, and then the Drought 3 down there as well. So yeah, even then, just off impact, yeah, he might have been the 5th or 6th best project this year. And American Gangster wasn't all that. T.I. versus T.I.P. was way more impactful. Curtis, Graduation, like what are we saying? So when we get to 07, once again, now we was at 8, 9. So now we're at 10, and there's 6 albums where he wasn't top 3. If you ask me, 5 to 6 albums he wasn't top 3 out of the 10 albums. And like I said, it's not bad. He's still top 5. Like I said, being a top 5 in MVP conversation is a huge difference versus being actually that guy. Go to 09, you got release from Eminem, a relapse from Eminem. Then he's back top 3, and you got So Far Gone down there. So yeah, even with So Far Gone, I say it's probably the 3rd best project that year, at least as far as impact and stuff like that. So now that's 11 projects, 6 and 5, 6 not top 3, 5 top 3. In 09, let's see. I think they said who else had dropped, like J. Cole dropped a mixtape or something like that. So yeah, 09 he got it. And then by the grace of his hair on his chinny chin chin, if you ask me. But then you get to 2013, Marshall's EP, 800, Magna Carta, 528, Drake, Nothing Was the Same, 658. And then you get obviously like Magna Carta being, 3rd. When you look at the numbers, some of these weren't ranked. I don't know why they did it like that. Then you got Yeezus at 327. Once again, he outsold Kanye. Well, not once again. On this time, he outsold Kanye. But I don't know if Magna Carta is better than Yeezus. But I'll let that make it. And then Born Sinner. I don't know if Magna Carta is better than Born Sinner. So impact wise, I'm gonna let him make it. I'm gonna give him this one the top 3 because it's not nowhere near as bad as Kingdom Come. But it's arguably catalog wise, this was not a top 3 project, but impact wise, we'll give it to him. That Magna Carta late in his career. So now it's, I think, 7 for 7. I think he had 7 projects that was top 3, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think we get to the last album, 4 for 4. Shout out to Wendy's. You got Damn, More Life, For Your Eyes Only outsold. Damn, that's crazy. For Your Eyes Only outsold 444. I didn't know it was that steep of a margin. So, yeah, I mean, the big 3 wasn't playing with that nigga this year. The big 3 wasn't playing with that nigga this year. But, yeah, I mean, we looked through it. Like, you see, there's no year where he did 1 million first week and it was just unfathomable numbers. Like, yeah, he had 7 years where he was top 3, but even in those 7, it was only 1 year he was actually number 1. And what year was that? That was the year with Kingdom Come, arguably his worst album. So, like, when we really get into these conversations, it's just like, I hear y'all, but at the same time, like, there's a difference between what Michael Jackson did, what I also feel Lil Wayne did, because I like a lot of these years, like, he wasn't dropping during the years that Wayne dropped. So let's say another artist dropped the year before you, and how albums are really like a every 2-year type of thing. Like, so if Carter 3 was going crazy in whatever year before when it dropped, the next year is still gonna have that impact and still gonna see like, hey, that artist is still like relevant in a sense, like especially if an album did like 1 million first week. So let's say you just seen Wayne or somebody else do crazy numbers the year before, and then the year you drop, you still not even top 3 in that year, and you missed some other niggas the year before. It's like, but when we start adding all these type of context in, it's like, I don't know, like these, like I'm not really, like this nigga wasn't no Shaq, this nigga wasn't no Jordan, this nigga wasn't no LeBron. And to me, when y'all talk about dominance, he was more like a Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, David Robinson, and you see like a Chris Paul, where it's like, he prolonged a long time of success, but like I can't sit up here and say like, nah, like I could count this year, that year, this year. Like even with Future, like bro, Future 2015, Future of 2000, I think it's like a couple different like Future. Like if you just look at that year, obviously 2024, like Niggas had some crazy years where they dropped 2 mixtape, but I'm like, so for me, it's like I'm like, he's not even showing that level of dominance where I'm like, I can look at 1 or 2 years and I'm like, specifically, nobody was fucking with you that year. Like, I don't see that. Some other years, it was like these guys that was on the bubble. Some years they'll be top 3. Some guys they'll be some years they'll be number 2. Other years they'll be in the top 7. But no one's considering these niggas to go. Allen Iverson, Dwight, Russell, Harden, Carmelo, modern version of that. Oh, and B got MVPs. Like, and B got little MVPs. Now you could say he was hurt a lot of other years, so he didn't maintain the consistency. So if he would have did that, I still think even with some of them MVPs, if you ain't putting in championships, if you ain't really putting everything behind it, like, it's not the full package. And that's what I feel like some of these other guys was displaying full package work as far as like their albums and their impact versus like Reasonable Doubt. I mean, it might have had cultural relevance, but I don't like it ain't had an impact of, you clearly see that it was better than Nas, anything like that. Close comparisons to Jay-Z in a rap battle. AI talking about Charles, James Harden, which I think is more reasonable than niggas want to talk about Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, if I'm being honest. I'd be like, Kobe's Eminem or Kanye, Drake is LeBron, and like Wayne or something is Tupac or something like that. That's how my mind works. Elgin Baylor, John Havlicek, Moses Malone, like guys that were great, but bro, you're not being considered GOAT just because you were bubbling around. I was in the arguments, but I never really showed niggas I was number 1. Let's just be real. Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller, like, yeah, it's some names on that list where it's like, you understand where I'm coming from. Patrick Ewing, we already did that. Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, Dirk, Dwayne Wade. It's like, maybe some of these guys didn't have the longevity of success. So, like, let's say if Tracy McGrady never wins the championship, but has another 5 to 7 years where maybe he do make a playoff run to a deep Western Conference Finals or a Finals run, where he's not necessarily winning, or maybe he wins one, maybe that definitely boosts him, but I don't think that boosts him enough to put him in the GOAT conversation, man. Like, same with D-Wade. Like, D-Wade had 3 championships. If he stayed healthy another 6-7 years, I don't necessarily think they put him in the GOAT conversation. Just because he was healthy, that don't even mean he would have been top 3 all them other years. Like, I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but I they bring, like, Damaris, they brought up these conversations where he's untouchable. He was top 3 for 30 years. It's just untrue. We look down the list. It was about 12, 13-year run of dominance, and not even straight up dominance, because when I think of dominance, I'm thinking number 1 and 3 that whole time. Either 1 or 2, really pretty much, and then it was a 3 every once in a while. So, like, just say if you was the Olympics. If I went to the Olympics 15 times and I had 13 bronzes and 1 gold and 2 silver, niggas not gonna be like, oh, that's over impressive. Versus if I had 8 golds or 7 golds, 4 silvers, 3 bronzes, like, all right, that's a fucking catalog. Versus, or all bronzes, like 1 gold. Like, it's like it gets to a certain point, like, nigga, if you showing up to the conversation where you top 3 all the time and you not hitting gold, you not hitting silver more than you going bronze, all right, bro, we haven't, like, we gotta look at that level of greatness. Maybe you just the greatest mid nigga of all time. But with that being said, hey, man, it's been fun. As always, it's been a pleasure. Make sure y'all like and subscribe, man. We uploading every day to 500, man. We about this thing. Peace.